They were the ultimate underdogs, a squad of battlers, pranksters, and hard men, dubbed the Crazy Gang. They were expected to be swept aside by Liverpool's all-conquering side of the 1980s. But on the 14th of May, 1988, in front of nearly 100,000 fans at Wembley, Wimbledon pulled off one of the greatest shocks in FA Cup history. The small side from South London had reached England's top flight in 1986, only 4 years after playing in what is now League Two, and they were about to cap off the ultimate giant killing, doing so on England's biggest stage. Lorie Sanchez's glancing header gave them a first-half lead, and then captain Dave Bessant made history, becoming the first goalkeeper since William Merriman in 1875 to save a penalty in an FA Cup final. Liverpool had never lost a major domestic final under Kenny Dalglish until that glorious day in the North London sunshine. But what happened to those players after they lifted the cup? Let's take a look at where the Crazy Gang of '88 are now, starting with the man who wore the armband. Dave Bessant, the big goalkeeper and captain that day, was already something of a cult figure, but this match immortalized him. That penalty save made history, and his commanding performance helped Wimbledon hold firm. He played 340 times for the Dons before moving to Newcastle United in 1989 for a record transfer for a British goalkeeper. He went on to be capped twice by England before moving to play for Chelsea, where he was a regular until 1992. He also played top-flight football for Southampton, Nottingham Forest, and Tottenham Hotspur, as well as various short spells with Portsmouth, Bradford City, Wigan Athletic, and Brighton and Hove Albion. He technically played into his 50s when he made headlines, named on the bench for Stevenage at age 55 during an injury crisis in 2014. Since initially retiring in 2004, he had predominantly worked as a goalkeeping coach for the likes of Fulham, the Northern Ireland national team, Bristol Rovers and Reading. He now appears as an after-dinner speaker, having not coached since 2018. Although not featuring his story or even speaking on the show itself, Bessant did appear as a guest backup keeper to David Seaman for the England Legends team on Season 2 of ITV's Harry's Heroes. Clive Goodyear was the right-back that day, and the man who gave away the penalty that Bessant famously saved from John Aldridge. Arguably the most obscure player on the field, he only played 28 times in the league for the Dons and departed in 1990. He later played for Brentford and had a stint for Hong Kong-based side Ernest Borrell, before calling time on his playing career in 1993. He remained in the sport but retrained as a physio and went on to work for Luton Town, Cardiff City and Chester City. He now reportedly runs his own physiotherapy business, based maybe controversially for some in Milton Keynes. Terry Phelan, just 21 at the time, was the left-back who kept Liverpool's wide men quiet. His career only grew from there. He departed the Dons after putting up 159 appearances over a 5-year spell before moving to hometown club Manchester City in 1992. Phelan became a popular figure at Main Road and would depart in 1995, just as the club were about to begin their mid-90s decline. He would remain in the Premier League with both Chelsea and Everton, and was also a mainstay for the Republic of Ireland over many years, including playing at the 1994 World Cup. His later career saw him pull his boots on for the likes of Fulham, Crystal Palace, Sheffield United, and American side Charleston Battery, before eventually retiring with New Zealand-based Otago United in 2009. Since hanging up his boots, he's predominantly resided in India, where he's held technical director roles at Kerala Blasters and currently South United FC. In central defence was Singaporean-born Welsh international Eric Young. He stood tall, nicknamed Ninja for wearing a bandana during games to protect scar tissue on his head, making him one of the most distinctive players of his time. He played 99 times in the league, scoring 9 goals before leaving Wimbledon in 1990 for rivals Crystal Palace, where he remained a top-flight player until the club's relegation in 1995. He later had a 2-year spell with Wolverhampton Wanderers before ending his career with non-league sides Enfield and Egham Town. Throughout his career he earned 21 caps for Wales. After football, Young stepped away from the spotlight completely and reportedly worked for an accountancy firm based in Heathrow. From Wembley to spreadsheets, not the typical footballer journey, but the Crazy Gang were never typical. Young's defensive partner was Andy Thorne, and another rock-solid presence. He joined Newcastle United later that summer, but had returned to South London with Crystal Palace the following season. In 1994, Thorne returned to the Dons, playing for several seasons before departing again in 1996. Over his 2 spells with the club, he played 142 times in the league, scoring 3 times. He ended his career with stints at Hearts and Tranmere Rovers, hanging his boots up in 1998. Following retirement, he joined Coventry City as a scout, but later had a spell as caretaker manager in 2011. He later took the first-team manager job on a permanent basis, but after overseeing relegation to League One, it would inevitably call time on his tenure. He has since managed non-league side Kidderminster Harriers, worked as a scout for West Bromwich Albion, but now has come full circle and is employed as the scout lead for AFC Wimbledon. And then there's Vinnie Jones, the heart and soul of the crazy gang. His no-nonsense bruising style made him a cult hero. In 1989, he joined Leeds United, before spending the next 2 seasons with both Sheffield United and Chelsea before returning to the Dons in 1992. Jones was regarded as one of the hard men of English football, and arguably became more famous for his notorious behaviour more than his ability as a player. All in all, over his 2 spells with the club, Jones played 254 times, netting 21 goals. Retiring in 1999 at Queen's Park Rangers, he stepped away from football and straight onto the silver screen. Jones became a Hollywood star thanks to working on Guy Ritchie's movies such as Snatch and Lock, Stock and Two Smoking Barrels, before going on to appear in big-budget films like X-Men and Gone in 60 Seconds. He's written books, done reality TV, and spoken publicly about personal loss, revealing a more reflective side behind the hard man image. As of 2025, he currently stars in his own farming TV show, Vinnie Jones in the Country, and is still an active actor. Dennis Wise was the smallest player on the pitch, but he had the biggest impact, providing the cross for Sanchez's winning goal. A Dons stalwart, he played 135 times in the league, scoring 27 goals. His performances earned him a move to Chelsea in 1990, where he won FA Cups, a League Cup, and the UEFA Cup Winners' Cup, spending 11 years at Stamford Bridge and becoming a cult hero. He later had a spell with Leicester City before taking over as player-manager of Millwall, guiding them to an FA Cup final in 2004. He went back to playing with Southampton in 2005, although he was called upon as caretaker manager, before departing altogether, moving on as player-manager of Swindon Town. Between 2006 and 2008, he managed Leeds United, before later stepping upstairs in as executive director of Newcastle United. In 2019, he joined Italian side Como as the club's chief executive, with the team securing promotion to Serie A under his guidance. He would depart in 2024, reportedly after a rift with incumbent manager Cesc Fabregas. Wise, however, still occasionally appears as a TV pundit, and has done throughout his retirement. Lorie Sanchez, of course, was the man who scored the goal that won Wimbledon the Cup. His glancing header looped over Bruce Grobbelaar and straight into history. He remained at the Dons until 1994, leaving on 270 league appearances and 30 goals. With his career winding down, he briefly played with Swindon Town before taking over as player-manager of Irish side Sligo Rovers. In 2001, whilst Wycombe Wanderers manager, he guided them to an FA Cup semi-final, defeating Leicester City en route. He famously signed journeyman non-league unknown, Roy Essendon, after posting an advert on teletext looking for a new striker, with the club in the middle of an injury crisis. Essendon repaid Sanchez by scoring the winner, and the goal went down in cup folklore, linking Sanchez to 2 very different but special moments of FA Cup history. He went on to have spells in charge of the Northern Ireland national team, Fulham and Barnet, before spending his most recent managerial position in 2014 with Greek club Apollon Smyrnis. These days, Sanchez works as a live match contributor for popular football media outlet The Athletic. Alan Cork played the opening 56 minutes before being replaced by Laurie Cunningham. He was already a Wimbledon legend by 1988. He played a staggering 430 league games, scoring 145 goals between 1978 and 1992. His career lasted another 3 years with spells at Sheffield United and Fulham. He took over as Swansea City manager in 1997, and later had a spell in charge of non-league side Chesham United. before controversially taking over at Swansea's bitter rivals Cardiff City in 2000. In 2002, he joined the coaching staff at Leicester City, working under Mickey Adams, and later joining him at Sheffield United. He's also held coaching and scouting roles within the setups at Brighton and Hove Albion and Coventry City, and has served as a youth scout for the Football Association. John Fashionu led the line up front with brute force. As a Dons player in general, he scored goals, caused chaos, and bullied defenders, the archetype of the crazy gang mentality. Fashionu remained at Wimbledon until the end of the 93-94 season, departing after 107 goals in 276 appearances. He spent a final season in football with Aston Villa before retiring in 1995. After retiring, Fashionu found instant fame again on TV, becoming the charismatic co-host of popular Saturday primetime ITV show Gladiators. He presented alongside Ulrika Jonsson for the first 5 seasons, before later being replaced by ex-England rugby player Jeremy Guscott. He also worked as the host of the Nigerian version of the Channel 4 game show Deal or No Deal. Whilst he has largely stayed away from football since retirement, his only real involvement was a brief stint as Barry Town chairman in 2003. In 2004, he managed an amateur Sunday League team called Fash FC, which was the subject of a reality show on Bravo TV named Fash's Football Challenge. In more recent times, he has appeared on a number of reality TV shows, including the 2023 series of Dancing on Ice. Terry Gibson played up until the 63rd minute, where he was replaced by John Scales. He remained a Don until 1993, departing after 86 games and 22 goals. After leaving the club, he turned out for Peterborough United and Barnet, before retiring in 1995. After hanging his boots up, Gibson linked up with teammate Lorie Sanchez, and served as his assistant manager at Wycombe Wanderers, Northern Ireland, and Fulham. But many fans today know him best for his excellent punditry, especially his work covering Spanish football, where he was one of the early UK voices championing La Liga on Sky Sports. Whilst working in Spain, he also doubled up as a European scout for both Bolton Wanderers and Manchester City. Now to the bench, where the names are just as significant. Defender John Scales came on in the second half, and would go on to become a key player for Wimbledon. He made 240 appearances, chalking up 11 goals before eventually joining opponents Liverpool, where he earned 3 England caps. In his 2 seasons at Anfield, he also won the League Cup but was on the losing team in the '96 FA Cup final as the Reds missed out once again, this time to Manchester United. He later played for Tottenham Hotspur and Ipswich Town before retiring in 2001. Post-football, he coached the England beach soccer national team, and also runs a sports events company, as well as serving as a pundit for BBC Radio 5 Live. And finally, Laurie Cunningham, a 56-minute sub at Wembley, but arguably the most significant name on the team sheet. A true trailblazer, Cunningham had previously starred for the likes of Real Madrid, Manchester United and Marseille, and was one of the first black players to represent England at senior level. He only played 8 times for the Dons during 1988, and departed to Rayo Vallecano at the end of the season. Tragically, just a year after that FA Cup final, he died in a car crash in Madrid at the age of just 33. A pioneer, a talent, and a legend who left us far too soon. And overseeing it all from the dugout was the man who brought it together, Bobby Gould. At 42 years old, Gould was seen as a gamble when he took over earlier that season. With a reputation as an old-school manager, few expected him to handle a squad as wild, unpredictable, and tightly bonded as the Crazy Gang. But rather than fight the chaos, he embraced it. He didn't try to polish Wimbledon's rough edges, he sharpened them. Gould gave the players belief, instilled a siege mentality, and masterminded one of the greatest FA Cup upsets of all time. His game plan frustrated Liverpool, and his motivational style brought the best out of every player on the pitch. After his miracle with Wimbledon, Gould went on to manage West Bromwich Albion and Coventry City, before taking the reins of the Wales national team. His time with Wales was mixed, but featured a string of memorable performances from a golden generation that included Ryan Giggs and Gary Speed. In later years, he managed Cheltenham Town, and lastly Weymouth in 2009. Gould stayed involved in football as a media personality and co-commentator for TalkSport. He's always full of energy and strong opinions. These days he keeps a lower profile, but his legacy as the man who led the crazy gang to glory is secure. Bobby Gould wasn't just the manager of that 1988 side, he was the ringmaster of the most glorious circus Wembley has ever seen. Thanks for watching. If you like digging into the nostalgic side of football, please consider liking this video and subscribing to the channel. We've been Retro Football Club. Until next time, goodbye.